TGIF, happy Friday. It's your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess, here back with Birds of a Feather, CoEd edition, of course. And guess who's joining me? My CoEd. Hello,
Eddie
how are you,
B.
sir?
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Yes, sir, Eddie
Feeling
B.
better? Feeling better?
Back. I think I am, but now it's allergies. If it's not one thing, it's another, man. This whole week has been kicking my
getting
ass.
getting
It's not.
getting the last
But
round of allergies in before the weather breaks.
this one right eye decided today, I'm just gonna decide to be puffy and red like every other hour. And
uh,
then if I didn't have bubbly guts, I had the red eye. So I let me sit
we're
back
almost there. We're almost there,
shadow.
AJ.
Yeah,
Almost there. I mean the fall season.
almost August, my favorite time of year. Obviously, my birthday is next week, so it's usually right when autumn starts coming into full effect. It was actually chilly. I had to wear a nightgown this morning as I signed on for work
Yeah,
because fall is upon us. Um,
yeah.
Although,
I had to
good,
wear a sweatshirt to my doctor's appointment too this morning. I was like,
it was
it's
cold.
cold out today.
Cold. I had to put the window down in the bathroom. I'm sitting there going, Jesus, my feet were freezing on
but
the
today
towel.
was but today was perfect. Like I was glad I was off the rest of the day too because I just drove around
Mm-hmm.
and I was out like in Willow Grove in that area, drove around all the back roads there. I would love just driving like that. There was some music on, clear ahead a little bit. It was great.
When the foliage starts showing,
I
leaves are
had the
starting to
windows
turn a
down.
little bit.
Had the windows down. It was good. So
Well, it's good. It's definitely good to clear your head, but do you notice that it's starting to turn a little bit, the leaves and everything? It's like just
yeah,
little
not
signs
not
of fall.
not yeah yet a very small amount, but
I just love
still
that
pretty
time of
great.
year, though.
Still pretty. I love that time of year. I like
Yes.
driving up towards the Poconos when that happens. It's great. It's pretty up
Oh,
there.
yeah, that's a drive. That's a good drive, though. That's definitely a clear your head drive. All right, Eddie. So obvious happened last night as I barely got any sleep, but our Eagles won another
Me
one.
either. Yeah.
Only because usually, even after a Thursday night game, there's usually so much juicy post opinion stuff that I'm a junkie for, and me, I probably go through a lot more podcasts than the average person, but I like to hear all the post show commentary, and I was enjoying listening to all the different networks that are on YouTube now. Shout out to All Philly, which is this new network that started this week with like former Fanatic host Jamie Lynch, some local writers, and Renee Washington, who's a local black female former soccer player local. And a lot of them are just joining this network basically to give you another perspective of all different types of networks of all four Philly teams. So it's something you can join on YouTube and yeah, all in Philly network. So shout out to them. But it's very entertaining to watch other people talk sports besides my fanatic fix at 2 o'clock with Tyrone and all them. Um, but it's good to hear other opinions. I definitely feel like it was a better win last time, but we obviously still have some issues on the offense. And we have yet two more injuries on the defense. So, but they
Yeah.
won 30, what was it? 30, what was
34, 28.
34-28. I almost said 38-24. You're
34,
right.
34, 34, 27. Something like, yeah,
34-28.
no. 28, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you were right. You were closer than me because we guessed. I said like 27-17. You said 30 to something to
Hmm.
10, right?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
you were close. You were
Apologies.
closer than me. I didn't think they were going to 30 points the way they've been going. So, all right. So basically, basic thoughts. What did you think? And I'll talk. I'll talk after you talk. What were your opinions about the
So,
over?
uh, you know, uh, they're- it makes me nervous because I'm always being a second half team, too. Drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Or like then they don't get started till late first half sometimes, and that scares the shit out of me at times. Luckily, our
Yep.
defense has been playing good enough for that to be able to happen and not throw a game away.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just nervous about the whole like. Hopefully, we can get Bradbury back by the next game, next Monday night game. I mean, because we got a lot of young guys on this team, and they're still learning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're so young now. This is new for us. Remember, we used to always be like older teams. Now we're like
Yeah.
younger, one of the youngest teams now, and it just kind of it's scary the fact that I'm always afraid they're like not gonna turn around in time,
Mm-hmm.
not gonna get beat on a break or something. But you know what they did okay. You know, Justin Jefferson's gonna get his. I mean, you're not gonna be able to shut him down every time you play him like
Yeah,
they
he's
did
too
that one
good. I
time.
mean, he was his own enemy
Yeah,
last too, but he got his yards. Yeah.
and Maddox, but a rookie kid made a good play, help pushing the ball, helping to get that ball out of his hand too.
Yeah, Evans helped a lot.
And
Yeah.
they were making, one good thing is that there were some messed up tackles, but they were making some clean tackles after the ball was up. Because Hodgson could have that tackle on Hodgson should have happened, but Joe took a bad angle to him and he couldn't wrap him up. And he's a
Mhm.
big boy too. I mean,
Yeah, and that
so I
little
mean,
Josh Jobe wasn't gonna stop him at that angle.
yeah, and at the same time, that was a missed. That
Opportunity.
was a missed call. That was a missed opportunity to stop that play. It also was a missed call right there too. Like, how come Reddick is being pulled backwards and they didn't say anything? He's running at Cousins, and all of a sudden he's being pulled backwards. How is that not? You know what I'm saying? How is it not? That's a hold.
Look, I thought about you because that's
That
the
is
whole
a straight
timeline.
hold.
The whole
It's a
timeline was people
straight
saying,
hold.
"Y'all don't see Reddit being held, but that's all right." Everybody said it, and I thought about you when I texted you. Yeah,
Yeah, everybody was saying it.
everybody. I thought about you because I said, "Who is the one who always complains about the hold at Eddie?" And then all of a sudden, everybody was saying, "Like nobody sees
Yeah.
Reddit being held. Nobody sees
I
Reddit."
mean, especially
Hello.
when it's that clear. Especially the
Yeah,
little tacky ones I get, okay, whatever. But then they call it tacky ones, which I'm like, okay, you call a little tacky one, but you don't call a clear and obvious one. Like,
yeah.
clear and obvious. Like,
The
like
balance
he,
of the calls never makes sense. It's like if they
yeah,
call one and call the other, and they do lack that.
yeah. I mean, they didn't. I mean, I don't know if they didn't get any penalties called them until late in the game. The
Yeah,
Vikings.
no, they pretty much let him play for a while, but that was what was annoying because
Not
sometimes it
for
was so
nah.
clearly obvious.
We had a bunch though. They got us
Yeah,
for a couple in the game.
they did.
I just think that
I don't think the Landon foul was. I don't think Landon's call was necessary.
yeah.
Dickerson.
No, that wasn't because he was pushed into the guy.
Yeah,
They should have picked that up because
he should.
he,
Yeah, there was a couple that I was like, "What?
yeah, he. They
What?"
call was it a chop? What they call it, a chop block on him or something? A
Yeah,
little
that's
block,
what they said.
and he was tripped into the guy. Not like he went after him. No, he didn't engage him. It was kind of like, oh shit, I'm falling. Where do I go?
Right.
So I didn't agree with that one at all. And it sucks that they got Weston for that one little one. He should have just let him go though when he hit AJ Brown in the end zone.
Yeah, he messed up AJ. That was why he
Yeah,
was
he
pissed.
messed that
Probably
up.
he messed that up for him. Yeah.
Yeah, but that shit happens all the time
It does. It does, but it just shows you that we're not the only ones who are impatient for them to get this flow together. I mean, for AJ to even be slightly pissed this early, it shows you that there's a communication curve.
though. How about that pass to the Slim Reaper? I was like, wow,
Of
that was a good one.
course. Well, yeah, that's how you
I
knew
mean, if
Jay
he
Hurts was like, "I'm doing it."
and if he didn't underthrow that other one, he had to turn around and stop for.
Yep,
He could have
the
gained. That
first
would
one
have been
was
another touchdown right there.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah. He overthrew
he
that
just
one
if he would
anyway.
have let him, because he smoked that guy, but the guy was still trying to catch him. But
Hmm.
luckily, Smitty turned around and saw that the ball was coming in short and made an adjustment. Because if the other guy didn't come over and help, I thought he was going to still get it for a touchdown. When he turned around and almost ran in still, and then
And
other guy hit him.
this is the thing that we have to understand. Game by game, it may not always be Smitty. It may be AJ. It may be Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We're
It was
not
like
there
it
yet.
was it was like that last year. It was like
Yeah.
okay, AJ had a AJ had two touchdowns on straight. Then next game, Smitty had two touchdowns. Next game, somebody else had a big game. Like you just keep bouncing. Luckily, they have the players that can bounce it around like that.
AJ's not going to have a game like the Steelers game where he had three
Yeah.
touchdowns. That's not going to happen
Sorry,
all
my
the
headphone, my earphone fell out. Sorry.
time.
I'm
Technical
like, oh
difficulties when we're doing
yeah.
Zoom, folks. Be patient. Um. So what else did you notice?
uh, defense looked defense looked good. They were getting more pressure. More pressure. I mean, they only had what 3 sacks or 2 sacks the
Hmm.
whole night. And you're right. Your boy did get a sack. I thought that was somebody else
I
when
could
that
have
happened.
sworn, yeah,
I keep confusing the two of them sometimes because they're both huge.
both huge, and they both
Yeah,
got
and
theirs. They both got their name called several times, so that was a good thing.
yeah. Only thing is, I'm surprised Reddick hasn't gotten a sack yet. but he will.
I think that his thumb is affecting how he's able to tackle right now. So I
I
think
mean,
he's
but
getting pushed off.
he is getting pressure though. He's getting close.
He is, but he can't. I think even Seth was describing this during their after show,
Yeah,
saying that it's hard when you don't have access to grip with
you
your
can't
thumb. You
push off. Yeah,
push off,
and
right? So
yeah,
he was saying how he's still kind of at a disadvantage right now,
yeah. But sometimes the pressure is enough to rattle the quarterback, which is good.
and that's
Because how
what
many?
sometimes
Look
I
how
get confused with.
yeah,
What's
look how
pressure?
many plays Kirk Cousins
Uh,
was getting up off the ground.
yeah,
I mean, he was getting up off the ground almost after every passing play.
he was
Almost.
hurried a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I told you last
I was like,
podcast that they have a backup center, so you see how that came into play a
oh yeah. Then
lot
they
last.
lost their guard too.
Right. Yeah, and they
Yeah,
said that
he
he has
got
a
hurt.
quad injury. He's out for the season.
Oh man, that
See,
sucks. Second game, he's
they're
already
already
out.
struggling. They're
Already,
already struggling. Yeah,
I hate to see the
early
guys
innings.
like lose out like that. All start
Yeah,
dropping like flies. Yeah.
like flies. That's the thing that I like most about the fact that some of well, Boston Scott got a concussion too, which I didn't see that happen at all. But they said he had got
Yeah, I didn't
concussion.
see that. I did not see that either. I'm like, when did that happen?
He must have just walked off, and it must have been just like Bradbury last week, where it's like he probably wanted to go back in, but they were like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah. We saw a pop. You gotta come back out." So because
Yeah,
Boston pretty much
they're.
was running it, and then we got to talk about DeAndre. I don't know if you were finished,
Uh,
but DeAndre was pretty
he
much a
he had a
zero.
he had a day.
Had
And,
a
and
day.
I left him on my fantasy bench too. 20
You
something
cracked me up
points.
because
I was
someone else said that on
like,
Twitter. Somebody else said that, and I said my friend Eddie just said this that he left. Someone said, "Why did I put him on the bench?" And I'm like, my friend Eddie did too. Apparently,
because
yeah,
he didn't do well last week, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to jinx him. 'Cause I don't want to jinx him as if I put him in and he's not going to do well. So I was like, you know what? Let me just leave him on my bench. But I did
uh,
smart. But I did start Devonta, so he did good
yeah.
for me.
You can't do wrong with Smitty
So,
regardless because you know him and AJ are going to get theirs at some point.
oh yeah,
But yeah, he was amazing. For him to get the 175 yards of total 256 rush yards of the offense as a whole is
mm,
crazy. That's not going to happen next week because Buccaneers are
nah,
pretty big. Um,
yeah,
and we know that. Well, we have to discuss the fact that the reason why Hurts was looking very disheveled, on top of the fact he's not comfortable, why was he taking sacks that he didn't need to take? Why was he running at all as much as he didn't need to run? Knowing now what we saw with DeAndre
yeah.
Swift, like what was he not trusting? There's
Yeah,
obviously
no. I
breakdown.
think they kind of pulled. It
Fine.
looks like they pulled him to the side after that. Like, hey, let's run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna have to tell you to
Because
stop throwing, bro, because you
because
all over the place.
because they're looking for him with the keeper because they had a good game plan. So they watched the corner, the edges, and they didn't let him take advantage of it. Except
He
for that
was
one
able to
play
get
when he
some.
swung out. A couple plays when he swung out to the outside, but for the most part, he wasn't able to be as effective with his run. Like the one when he just took the snap and just took off and went straight up the middle. Yeah, he was that was good because everybody was not expecting that from him at all.
Well, he could only
So
get those type of plays in very every once in a while. He wasn't able to get as much as he probably was trying to force. And I think that's the one thing that Seth had tweeted during the game was that he's like, I've never seen Hurts this impatient before. He was like, he needs to calm down. And I said
yeah,
it's
he's got
probably
to take his
because
time. Yeah.
yeah, because he's waiting for things to develop that weren't developing. And so when you have to do a split decision, it's either his first
Hmm.
instinct is to run. And to me, that's where
Yeah.
the regression happened last week. Is like, don't go back to the second year Hurts. You don't need to run all the time. You got
Yeah.
weapons.
Hmm.
No, don't
There was a
forget
couple
that.
there. Yeah, there was a couple times where he ran the ball because he had nowhere to go. He
Right.
should just threw it away. He should just threw the ball away.
Yeah.
But he ran the ball a couple times when he had nowhere to go because they showed the field and there's like the Vikings
Nobody.
had 5 or 6 guys drop back in the coverage. They tried to take
And
away
it
as much as
affected
they
his
could.
timing, which is probably why AJ got pissed because probably the few windows that were there, he didn't see AJ. Dallas
Well,
too. Like
yeah.
even when he threw to Dallas on the side, it didn't do anything for him. He couldn't accumulate any yards. So it was
Well,
like, why did you
that's
throw
why.
there?
Yeah, that's why I wanted them to stop trying to go long and stick with the short middle and
Mhm.
underneath because they're dropping those guys back in coverage. You're not going to get over top of them if they're
Right.
because they're worried about the home run ball That's what they're worried about. So they're like, oh,
And
let's
that's when
run
you do
these
the
guys
check
back.
down.
So
Yeah,
that's when you do a short pass and
that's when
cause
you
them
do
to
a
come
check
back
down.
for the ball. Yeah,
But
and
see,
maybe you can
losing
outrun
Boston
somebody.
now, it makes sense now why DeAndre in the second half got so many looks, because if we didn't know that he got a concussion, it was there. That was the reason why, because they weren't using Kenny obviously because of a knee issue, so they
Yeah, well,
had to use DeAndre at that
you
point.
feed the hot hand. You feed the hot
Hmm.
hand. I mean, DeAndre had the hot hand that night. I mean, it's just
And we
keep
got to talk
feeding him.
about why Penny now probably was inactive for a reason, because Penny was a liability last night,
Oh,
clearly.
he didn't look good. He didn't look good either. He didn't look good
Still
at all.
not looking good. So I think at this point, like, were they too quick to nab Trey Sermon? You know, because I kind of feel like
No.
Trey could have made up for some of those.
Is Trey still on the practice squad?
I think they just released him today.
Oh wow, that's
They
crazy because
released
they
him today, and they released that guy who I thought was going to be the backup LB from the Indianapolis. The rumor is, or the speculation is, that they might be getting Buda Baker, because now Buda Baker's been put on injury,
hmm,
hamstring injury on the Cardinals. So now people think how he's making room for somebody because he's
yeah. I mean,
released.
they could be because why would they release Trey Sermon if
Right.
Gainwell's hurt? If
And
Gainwell's hurt,
and how all of a
you
sudden
know?
is Buda Baker have an injury when you ain't hear shit till today?
Yeah,
So
right.
the timing is
How,
just maybe an issue of whether or not this weekend, if we
how,
know, because you know how he's working overtime since last night.
how he's got somebody? How he's getting? He's got somebody. Kids tied him in their basement or something. He's
Yeah.
he's like, so
Right.
you want your family back? All right, well, got to give me this player. Right?
Whenever there's
You
a
know,
roster move right after a game, and we know that even in a win, we still feel like it's a loss because our team doesn't look like our team right now,
yeah,
which to be expected for having coordinators, two different coordinators that are one not
yeah.
used to being the full coordinator.
Yeah, I think they'll get him. You got new, yeah. I mean, you got everybody. You got two people in new big roles, but I think they'll be fine. Like, because at least the other guy has. He already knew the offense, so
That's my point. And I think like I naively thought that being a QB coach and being a coordinator wouldn't be any different, but obviously he has more responsibility that he's not
oh yeah,
totally thinking about when it comes to the whole scheme of the game. So I think the thing with Jalen is that it's obvious he's not trusting himself at times,
mm,
and that's what's making fans a little what's the word, unnerved, because they're not used to seeing him in a while be looking less confident. Um,
yeah. But
till it
hey, look,
started
they're
hitting.
still winning, and
I know,
he's
but you know
doing.
that's we focusing on
He's
all the
not
negative things. I know.
yeah, he's not making too many mental errors. I mean, he had that one error where he shouldn't have thrown that ball. He
I don't
might
know
have been
why he
fine.
threw that pick. Yeah, when I saw that, that just screamed pick as soon as he released it. I was like, "What is he doing?"
I was like,
And I
the
got like it's
receiver,
like,
he had two people right in front. He had two people right in front of
and it's when he turned around like,
him.
"Ah, shoot!" He's like, "Dang it, what
yeah,
was he looking at?" Yeah,
yeah. Well,
that was why I think he got nervous about throwing downfield and why he started running again, because he was just like, "I don't want to throw it. I don't see
yeah.
anybody." And then yeah,
But you know what?
so
I'm okay with him making his mistakes now. Make them now. You
yeah,
know, it's still early. He still got the W, but make them now, and you know that way we're. I want to be firing all cylinders by we get to the second half of the year. We should be all that rust should be shaken off by then. You know.
well, we have to be realistic as fans. We know that that's usually in his back pocket to run because that's just what he is. But the point
Mm-hmm.
is, he had shaken the need to want to do it all the time last year, is what made his game even sharper. It was because he was learning to stay in the pocket. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize now why there's a difference when you move Jurgens to guard, and maybe that's why Melada are giving him issues sometimes, not being able to protect as long as they normally do. Um, because I know that you said that they put Jurgens in there as a guard now. So I don't know if that's part of the issue with why he's feeling jumpy, because he can't be feeling jumpy on Lane's side because Lane is fine. There's usually an
Oh no,
issue
that is
where
Lane's side though.
that is Lane's side. Okay, so what's the side?
Yeah,
Isn't Jurgens
because remember, Mulata and Dickerson are next to each other.
right? I'm sorry. Well, look,
Yeah,
Dickerson did have some issues with penalties, but there's something changing about the O line that is not making him
yeah.
comfortable to be.
I mean, it's not the normal crew, but
That's what I'm
I
saying. So
mean,
that's my point.
Jurgens
So
is a new piece. He's a new piece in there.
right.
But
So that's what I'm
I
saying.
think they'll get it. They'll get it together because you see how they got it together and started running the ball really well. I mean,
Yeah, I
They were
mean, and
opening up
that's
some massive holes
clearly,
for the
because
for the
that
running
was
game.
basically what dictated the third and the beginning of the fourth was the fact that they were willing to open lanes for him. Okay, first of all, not even just because of that, we see that the difference already between him and say Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Vision is very important, and the fact that
And
every
he's
time
very
DeAndre
patient.
had the ball, he could see, and then he could backstep and go to. He was shifty. He did all
Yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah,
so the fact that he did that alone was like, okay, why is Kenny Gainwell starting over him? Why did he only get one touch last weekend? Like,
yeah,
it's the
right.
questions you want to throw out there now. But now you have to consider what's been their MO from day one. They never pull away from the guy that's been there before the new guy because they feel like he deserves enough of a sample size, right? But Kenny has always been a good complement to the star running back. So
I
for him to be
still
the
love
starter this
Kenny.
year, it
Yeah,
was kind of
like,
odd, you know.
hmm
I
yep,
like Kenny. Don't get me wrong. He was in the Super Bowl more than Miles for a reason. But
yeah, but I like him as a third down back. I really do.
yeah, I like him as the
So
cleanup
that's
running back. I like him as the guy that once they get a good rhythm, he can go in there and just hit the hole, even on the outside. I think the thing that they were saying with DeAndre in Detroit was that Deuce wasn't a fan of him running outside the tackles as much
well
as he
he
did, and he went away from him and used their other running back for a while. That's why he didn't get as
he's got
much
a
touches
great
last
first. He's got a great first step. Like it's very good.
year. Oh, definitely.
It kind of reminds me of like how Westbrook was back in the day when he would like
That's
be
exactly
able
what
to
I thought of
stop,
when, yeah,
like be able to stop, and Shady too, be able to stop, look,
Shady.
grab, and get the hole and just hit it, and then hit it
And you
after that.
notice when they showed the slow motion, you notice when they gripped him that he knew to take care of the ball as soon as they crossed him, like he
Oh yeah,
covered it instantly. Whereas like a lot of the running backs have a problem with that. Miles
oh god,
too,
yeah,
Shady, especially because we hated the way Shady held the ball sometimes. He'd be holding like a
like a loaf
pancake.
of bread,
Be like,
like a loaf of bread.
yeah, we all hated it because I'm like, Shady,
Like
tuck that bitch in. Like, what is your problem?
somebody's
Um,
gonna hit you.
right. But instantly already from just one game. And I know not to get excited because I know next week is a new game. They're going to need all 11 days, right? Because they clearly
Hmm
need to get back on the same page.
Get
AJ avoided
healthy again.
AJ avoided the media last night because he probably already knew he made himself vulnerable to criticism.
Yeah.
We have to understand that their relationship is deeper than just that one game. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty more
Hmm
nights of AJ being a diva, but he knows to just zip it and just go home because it's not worth meandering over.
hmm
But some of the obviously the old heads in the media are going to complain because they thought it was immature. But
And they're friends. Friends argue. Leave it. Yeah. Right.
yeah, my friend OJ who does media locally said that he's the godfather. Jalen Hurts is the godfather to one of his kids, so they obviously have a good relationship that's not going to fizzle because he didn't get the ball for a segment, and they went right back to him. But then you see it didn't really matter because they still had to go back to the run. So AJ has to realize too that some stuff wasn't always Jalen's fault because that obviously that penalty fucked up his TD. So
hmm
that wasn't Jalen's fault. That was Penny getting to the block late, and that's what
Yeah.
created the issue. So I'm
Yeah.
sure once they looked at they probably looked at tape already at this point, or they're about to, and
I'm
he's
sure.
probably
I'm sure they did. They probably squashed it already. Too.
they
That's the
probably
problem.
squashed it before the night was over. We don't know about it because he didn't want to deal with the
Yeah.
questions, but they're going to ask him
Yeah.
anyway, so you have to face it. Um, but I'm glad they won. I mean, 34-28 is too damn close. They didn't deserve like two of those touchdowns that they got, maybe even three. Um, the wide open, that shit brought back the Super Bowl too. Like, what the hell was that? The whole left field was.
hmm
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Was
Somebody.
Slay didn't tell somebody
Yeah.
something, or somebody wasn't turned
Some
around.
somebody like that's the whole thing about them being young. Somebody blew their assignment. They were
So
not where they were supposed to be.
right. So I mean, let's just cut the BS. I really think it's time to just really just give Sydney and Eli maybe a little bit more start because I feel like
Yeah.
the worst you could do is just have guys out there who at least if they're out there, they're going to hit somebody hard, even if they don't find themselves on the right timing. The Sydney going to slap the shit out of somebody. So
Yeah.
I just feel like they're inching. They don't want to admit it, but they know that they're going to need Sydney at some point to not just be a special teams player because you don't have Sean Bradley anymore for special teams. You don't have
Mhm.
Zach Now you don't have Avante. Now Avante could possibly be season ending. A rumor is it's a torn pectoral muscle, which I don't
Mm,
think he'll be bouncing back from, but you never know. Playoff time, he might pop back in there, as
yeah.
like a pop and roll. So let's not
How
just
about
knock him off, you know.
we forgot to mention? How about
Uh,
Zach Cunningham's game yesterday?
Oh yeah, Zach showed up. I meant to text you that too. I did forget to mention that.
Yeah,
Yes, he made a
he
very good
played
tackle.
he played well. He made some great tackles. Him and Morrow did good too.
Morrow, coincidentally, the
Yeah,
guy that they cut and they brought him back. So yeah, he definitely helped them a lot. Yeah, there were some guys
yeah.
that weren't even on the team like a week ago that came back and made shocking.
Mm,
For Evans and people giving him. Well, I mentioned his last pod saying that he was struggling, but then he was the one who pretty much almost kept that one touchdown out the field. Um,
yeah,
but they showed up when they needed to, and that's the most important thing to those guys. But now they got to make sure they don't have that communication issue again
yeah,
because Nick clearly was pissed at Desai on the sidelines. They were yelling at
yeah.
Desai.
And
So,
one thing, yeah, I mean that's one thing that kind of gives me hope uh, about some of these young backs.
mhm,
If you look, there there wasn't a time when they weren't out of position, except for that one play when somebody left the guy wide open. But for the most
mhm,
part,
mhm.
they were cover. I mean, you couldn't cover these guys any better. They just made good catches. Like some of these guys, like they were
It's
right
always
there.
been the same issue with tackling. That's really always been the issue
Yeah,
still,
they
tackling. Like
covered.
you
You
need to
couldn't
learn to
cover them
wrap
any better
people up.
without having a
Right.
penalty, right?
Right.
You
And
know,
minus
and
obviously the penalty at the wrong damn time. Yeah, but I mean that's gonna happen. But you're right. Honestly, without that wide open damn TD, they didn't do half bad knowing half their crew is out.
yeah,
It's just because it's early. Like it's almost week 3 and we're already talking about you're down like two corners
hmm
and a safety. So
yeah,
now, mind you, Bradbury most likely will be back. I have a feeling he didn't even have that severe of a issue. It's just they have protocol. They can't let them come back
yeah,
that
and especially with a short week
with a
like
short
that.
week.
I mean, that
So
quick
you have
turnaround.
to,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to consider by 11 days. There's no way I would not think that Boston Scott won't be back. Bradbury won't be back, and
and
uh,
Reed should be back too.
Reed Blankenship. Yeah, yeah, because that was
Yeah,
probably a game time. Just like a, I felt like he was going to still come back even with ribs because Fletch was still playing with bad ribs.
yeah.
Um, because they
His
helped
maybe
Fletch
was a
out.
little more. His was maybe a little more severe. So who
That's what I'm saying. And at this point,
knows?
Fletch is mostly having issues with his back. Like that's probably why they were thinking he was going to be out for this game anyway, because he was walking so stiffly after
Yeah,
game
but
one.
he did all right though in the game.
For Fletch to
Caused
be
a
getting
fumble,
fumbles and
caused a
stuff,
fumble.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
he's good. He was good enough. Yeah, he was good enough. But he's going to feel better by next week, at least less sore. Um,
oh yeah,
and then shout out to Goddard for just not being mouthy about not getting as much love as he normally does.
mm,
I'm sure he's more worried about his buddy Avante now being a injury issue again. Um,
yeah.
but I think that
Poor
it's.
guy, man. Poor
I just
guy.
feel bad
Like,
for Avante because everyone's already writing him off. Like I hate that he's always injured too, but I also hate that
yeah,
the fact that he is a small guy and he plays so hard. At some point, he was going to get hurt regardless. You just didn't know if it was going to be this soon. Um,
yeah. He puts his
because
body
if
on the
anything,
line
I'm
out
always wanting Avante to get a pick, and I'm waiting for him to get a pick because he plays so fast.
there.
But he's always hurt. So
Yep.
I mean, his ankle injury thing didn't even heal fast as they thought. So they kept him out longer than he did 2 seasons back, and they were taking him easy all through the off season and for a while. So you didn't really know what really happened. You just know that it wasn't
hmm
healing the way they wanted it to. And
Yeah.
you know how the Eagles get when they feel like injury is going to be a constant issue with you. They just slowly find ways to phase you out of the scheme. But in his position, I feel like he might stay just by default because that position is tricky to replace. He may luck
Nickel.
out
Yeah.
just staying on it. Because
He,
everyone's so
he's
quick to
one.
say like he's not going to get renewed. I was like, he just got re-upped like 2 seasons ago, so he's good for a
Yeah,
while.
he's
But
one of the best nickel backs in the league.
what is that?
He's one of the best nickel backs in the league. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't argue that. Like it's true. Like
So, and
so.
that's why I'm saying, like, I think that as quick as we want to write Avante off because of his injury history now, I think it's like you have to consider the fact that how hard it is for them to get anybody to replace certain positions in the D backs. It's just not easy. They're not finding
Yeah.
guys that are that big. Like, obviously, at this point, we're probably going to see Ringo soon a lot more too once he gets comfortable because
Hmm.
they brought him for that reason because he's young because they know eventually he's going to be the next one up. But
Yeah,
I just people have to realize it's not that easy to really just kick every single D back to the side, especially
yeah.
Avante who's had that history. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's frustrating as a team because yes, they won. We should be happy. We're picking because we're nervous that they're going to get into a slump really quickly. And people don't realize like Jalen Hurts has been someone since even when we didn't know what the hell to expect from him when he came here without anybody expecting him to come here. He's already had this type of doubt from
Yeah.
day one. I just think it's
Hmm.
never been as visible that he's frustrated or that he's
Yeah.
lost
Well,
since he had to jump in for Carson.
yeah, and I think he'll recover from this because he's a hard worker. He's gonna recover. Like
That's why I'm
he
not worried
showed,
either, but I just get nervous
he
as the
showed
game goes
us.
on for him.
He showed us that he's able to adapt and recover. Because look how he, no one how he played first time he started, and then how he's playing how he played in the second season. You know, like it's just
And as soon as people
he's
doubt
a
when he
hard
can throw,
worker. He's a hard worker. He's
he's
gonna
a
fix
hard
whatever
worker
problems you
and yeah, and I think just like the part of me that I guess it's just from being a female, I always feel like don't overthink it too much, homie, because
have.
you've come this far. The worst that you can do is think too much. Then you
Hmm.
start looking like you're guessing. And that's where I was getting a little agitated last night was because I was just like, stop, 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 stop running. Like,
Yeah.
like when he got the first down, the way he turned, it looked like he jammed his knee. And then even Derek Gunn said,
Hmm.
he goes, I got nervous by the way he turned himself around. He's like, and I felt like he kind of felt his knee. And then I thought, oh God, don't say he
Yeah.
hurt his knee already because he, jammed his foot into the grass,
Yeah.
because
But no
remember
need to
last,
panic.
huh?
No need to panic yet, though.
No, 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 it's not. But I'm just these are just little things that I think is why the overall sentiment of the fan base is that we're going backwards. And I'm like, well, you're not going to start at 100 with a new crew. Okay, you have to
No.
realize that the philosophies of both coordinators are going to be different. Obviously we love Nick because he's expressive and he's going to show when he's pissed off. He's going to show off when he's nervous. He didn't even want to address the whole AJ beef in the press conference because honestly his thought was like, you saw enough. Like what do you want me to say? I'm not going to act
Yeah.
like it happened.
Why? Like, yeah. Why are you gonna? That's between the two of them. Let them fix that. They're grown men.
Right.
Let them fix it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And so at this point I think like I said, me personally, I always like to see some kind of emotion just because I just want them to understand like this is why we're booing you because there were boos last night, which after Jalen took enough like sacks, wasn't going anywhere on a couple drives, I can understand why they were booing. It's because we clearly see that they're stunning and out too many times. It's just like, why? Why did you do that? You could just, like you said, thrown it away or, took a shot.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
again, you have to understand what he sees and what probably they planned before this game changed. Because
Two
even
different
Kelsey
things.
said
Yeah.
their defensive was coming at them different. And Jalen
Yeah.
got thrown by the looks. So
Well, they say everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right?
exactly. So you don't know what the
Yeah.
Buccaneers do. To me, there's no such thing as an easy schedule. There's no such thing as a hard schedule. To me, the Eagles always play it based on how they feel about the opponent at that time, at game time. Because anything
That's
they
all you can
plan is
do.
going to go out the freaking window once that game starts. That's
Yeah,
why I
that's all you
said
can do.
evidence last night. You know,
Yeah. They're all professionals. That's all you really can do.
and I don't even care that it's Baker Mayfield. You don't know he could go ham next week on them.
Yeah,
Anything can
you don't
happen.
know.
We don't care if
Anything
Baker's
can
full of crap. Baker's on a new team now for his umpteenth time. So he may be
happen. Yeah,
more,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like he may be even more confident. He may get away from Jalen Carter. You never know. So,
Mm-hmm.
and shout out to them too. I don't know if we did talk about it earlier, but Jalen Carter and Big Baby Davis um
Mm-hmm.
already scaring the shit out of these QBs early. So
Yes.
I,
Yes.
me personally, I ain't gonna be shocked if Baker hits the turf a lot more, but I also wouldn't be shocked if he finds a way to elude them because if there's one thing that I'm learning now already in 2 games, is that some of these quarterbacks did not hold the ball as long as Jalen did. He held it for 8 seconds last night at one point. People were actually timing,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that
Yeah.
the fact that he held it with such indecision is a little alarming because Kirk Cousins can throw it quick. Um, who was our first Patriots? Mac Jones, quick. That's why they came
Yeah.
back
Some
after.
guys. Some guys can. Yeah. Some guys are really good at that.
Some guys
That's
are
like their
good,
strong
and I
point.
think Jalen needs to feel like he's comfortable before. And Wentz was the same way. It was more dramatic, but I mean, I do think there's a
Mm-hmm.
point where Jalen is like, I am not trying to have picks every day. So when he threw the pick, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, ah, crap, you know.
Yeah, right.
So, but anyway, we have a whole nice little 10-day break from this stress. So I am now a Raven for the weekend because I'm praying that Lamar and them, Joe Burrow, even though they got humiliated last weekend, so Burrow may come in here and be like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done with looking like crap." Like, so I don't even know if that's a game in Cincy or if it's in Baltimore, but I'm usually a Baltimore fan when my Birds are on break. So go Ravens. Birds are 2-0 right now, so we just gonna focus on that. Um,
Yeah, that's it.
at the end of the day, this was a great game to watch. Before we end, I told you, Ed, I wanted to bring up this subject because talking about relationships off and on. Well, you're not. I've been looking at Twitter a lot, and I've just been noticing little things that people talk about relationships that are public or not, in whether NFL girlfriends or whatever, NFL wives. So I stumbled upon this random Twitter person, and not probably not a Twitter personality. I don't even know how this older guy got even in the social media, but
Yeah, I don't know either because I saw that. I watched it. Like, it's just
yeah,
out
I'm
there.
trying to remember how he even came to be. He's some Southern dude. I think he was always back. Okay, there's a lot of like Kevin Samuels type personalities out there that always wanna say something about black women and why they date outside of black women because black women are too aggressive, this, that, and the third. So I sent
Mm-hmm.
this clip of you of him talking about because he wanted to bring about why black athletes prefer white women over black women. And so, from what the clip was basically saying, Charleston White, if you guys are on Twitter, go check it out. I retweeted it on my page,
Mm-hmm.
AJ Princess 78, if you're on Twitter. But he basically was saying, like, long story, paraphrasing about what he said, it just irked me because I'm always teasing myself saying that athletes who are black choose to date women who are not black because they're easier to deal with. But my whole thing is at the end of the day, there are black athletes that do date their race.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name from oh my God, why am I blanking NBA? Mostly NBA guys I see kind of mix it up, but there are guys like Derrick
Mm-hmm.
Rose just got married to his biracial. And there was a controversy on TikTok apparently about the fact that she doesn't really like black men, but she made a baby with a black man or whatever, whatever. She only dated him because he's light skinned black, not dark skinned black. I bring this up because
Yeah,
athletes have a different tax bracket.
I love when people say stuff like that. Like, how do you know what they like? Like, how do
You know
you
what it
know what
is?
this person?
And honestly, I'll be, I know this is totally just me being petty, but at the same time, I just noticed a trend amongst black athletes where you do notice that there's this level when they get, and they seem to go further away from dark skinned women when they get at a certain level. Um, and I always say these girls are professional wives because they clearly go to the school of persuasion because they're never like not black, not Asian, but they have these huge butts. Everything is blown the freak up. They all look like they were former IG hotties, whatever, whatever.
Mm,
But the point is, especially with some NFL players. So when he brought this up, I kind of just thought, all right, I'm starting to believe that that might be a little bit true. But what do you think? Why do you think it's more even just because of the athlete level? Do you think it's because they make so much money, feel like they will never meet any black woman on their level? Or do you think, like you said, it just happens to be a choice that they make at the time of getting married?
I mean, I think it's a choice they make, and I mean, I don't know. It's hard to even say like, oh well, they only do it because of that reason.
Yeah.
And like I feel like we were talking about earlier, I was like, well, it's not about. I don't think it's about that in general. It's about like it's more. It's not even about finding. Give a damn about what color it is, but it's more about finding the right person for you that's gonna have your back and be there. Who knows who it could be? It could be anybody. But because I mean it is difficult. Like you're they're in a position of okay, now I have all this money. I'm not gonna get somebody that's not gonna want to just take my money, or whatever else. And sad to say there are people out there to do that. They go out and hunt specifically for these young guys who never had a dime before in their life, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden now they're rich. They have no clue
Mhm.
what the hell is going on, and it happens. But at the same time, it's like is do I think I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, what's the reasoning behind it. I don't believe everything he says. That guy said because I was listening to it, I was like, I don't like that viewpoint that he has because you
Yeah.
see some of these guys that have they have wives the same race as them or whatever, and they're fine, they're happy, they don't have any issues.
I guess I was thinking of
So
what's his name that's into fashion NBA with the big shoulders. And I'm blanking.
oh
The you know what I'm talking about. And I had a
which
senior moment, couldn't remember his name, but him and
I
his wife,
can't think of it right
and they have I think she has a podcast now. But the point is, there are black men who date other black women. But in the case of Derrick
now.
Rose being married to this girl, I used to follow her, and I think I followed her just because her name was Elena Line, but she spelled it with Laina.
Oh,
I
okay.
just I just decided to unfollow her because I realized I'm like, I don't even know why else I'm following this girl because
Like for what
she's
reason?
exact right. Like it really was honestly stupid of me to even follow her because part of me was like, I'm only following her because we have the same name, but we don't because it's mine's not with the I. And then another part of me was like, there's that jealous part of you that's kind of just fascinated with like, does she really just spend her whole life just wearing matching clothes, all label? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
big booty, two kids, and you're thinking like she ain't raising them two kids by herself, clearly, because she has
no,
time to primp herself every damn day. So she
yeah.
obviously ain't raising these kids by herself. But because of that thing I saw on TikTok, because there's always some, dark blind item about what she really is with him for and all this other stuff. At the
Mm,
end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just something you think about because there's a small sample size for every professional athlete genre
mm.
that these girls look like. You would not get that girl if you didn't have a contract. Like, let's be real. They
Honestly,
ain't
if I
looking
had that,
like Chris Rock says, money is the best moisturizer because they ain't looking at my ugly ass until I
yeah,
had a contract. But I think it's only just fascinating that when I saw this, it just brought up all those feelings. And I know part of it is me bouncing off of you because you and me both, we have dated outside our race plenty of times. And it's just been because of the environments we're in, not because we go
mm,
out that. But most people probably would think if they only see us with people outside of our races, they would assume that that's all we date. Because
mm.
Eddie and me know that we've always been labeled, a little bit of the vanilla because we actually know how to speak clear English. We weren't raised like heathens.
Yeah, right.
That's all we prefer is, and I'm obsessed with Dallas Goddard for a reason. No, first of all, Dallas Goddard technically wouldn't be the type of guy I would like 2 years ago. I would have liked, the clean cut Justin Timberlake wigger type, and there's something
Like he
about
just
Dallas
like
that is very not
he
wigger
just
type at
like he
all.
just like he just likes skin. He just likes skin.
Right. He just, yeah, like honestly, and I tried to
Yeah,
actually convince myself of this, and I realized I'm like, let me stop being a fraud. He's not like the Wigger type. He's not the Travis Kelsey esque type dude. Like he's just
yeah,
really just Midwest, South Dakota dude. Like simple. Like
yeah,
there's nothing. I think what I like about him is because he's simple. He's not. He doesn't seem like he's faking it, and that's
yeah. I
probably what
mean,
I'm attracted to. The authenticity
but
of
to be
him.
honest, yeah, to be honest with you though, if I was an athlete and I was to not have like that crazy over the top looking IG model, no, I would have like, hey, look at the Devonta girl, normal.
She looks very
She's
normal.
very,
That's why I
she's
said, and
pretty.
she's cute,
She's
and
pretty, but
looks
she
like
looks
someone he would be
normal.
with.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, she looks normal.
Hmm.
Malcolm Jenkins' wife. Remember Malcolm Jenkins? His wife, beautiful, beautiful woman.
Or they're divorced now, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, but they're divorced. Yeah, but
Yeah, they're divorced, but
she's
they still got two
also
kids. But yeah,
she
she was
doesn't look like
very
an IG model. Yeah,
no,
she's very
she's
like she's actually a down to earth person. Like people saw her at her remember we went to her store and she was
hmm
in there. She's a very
hmm
down to earth person, like just
I think she
normal.
still has her store there in Northern Liberties too. But
Yeah. So I mean that's just what I mean that would be me. I'd find a normal person. Not gonna do like this
and
whole like
honestly, some of the most here's the thing too, Ed. Most of those guys usually are still with those girls from college on. So you're usually
mm-hmm.
expecting the ones that are kind of like, okay, Kelsey. When you see the Kelsey doc, you'll see why everybody likes Kylie even more so now. By the time that
No,
doc
she's
is
a
over,
normal because she's a normal person. I love what she said
and she's smart.
thing. She's like, oh yeah, she's like saying about too much noise. You're a noisy human.
Yeah,
And like, you keep
yeah.
waking up the kids all the time. Like,
But and you would
yeah,
think that actually, like half the time I'd be like, does she like love her husband at all? Because she seems like she's so annoyed with him. But then I'm like, girlfriend was pregnant through the
yeah.
whole documentary. She's probably just tired of talking about their
But
relationship.
you can tell, she loves him. She just was
Oh
like,
yeah,
uh, she was like, yeah, he's okay if he's home. I don't care. I was like, yeah.
Well, and the fact that she also tells people she was like, let's not get this twisted. He's still mine,
Yeah.
because they were teasing about him calling himself Sexy Batman last year. He was wearing the
Yeah.
Batman mask and always having his gut out. And when she said that, I was just like, all right, make sure you put that territory down, girl. Because she's like, I done reproduced 3 times with this dude. He is
She
definitely
she
my
she
man.
she drew that line in the sand like this is
She drew that line and say, don't get it twisted. He may get on my nerves, but he's my man. So, but
but you
I
can tell
just
they have
like
a good relationship though.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's so obvious they're friends first, and I think
Yeah.
that's the look of some of the athletes, some of the girls. You always wonder if that's really based on anything other than just I want to present a certain way because I'm an athlete. That's all that is, and that's
hmm
usually where that conversation ends up and
And,
pretty much
and
dies. It's none of your
yeah, and
business.
I think people are so caught up in that whole like football wives thing and that
Yeah,
whole like
and that's probably
stigma,
where it
all that
started.
that whole huge stigma of that thing. Like,
Yep,
which I'm like, I didn't find any of those girls attractive. I
right.
thought this one was pretty, but they weren't. That not wouldn't be for me because I couldn't deal with the I couldn't deal with the attitude or just the personality that they had.
If they
Just
have
to
a
be like,
personality,
yeah, if they have
yeah.
one, yes, that's
If they
true.
have one, because
But
you can't have a
lack of,
conversation with 10
lack
minutes
of.
with a girl like that. If she starts talking about stuff you're annoyed with, you're out. You're
Yep.
gonna be like, this is our last date. Opening, opening, grand closing, grand, grand opening, grand
Grand
closing.
closing. Yeah.
Right.
Like check
So,
please. Time to
but I
go.
had to throw that out there because I always tell Ed, I'm like, there's random things I be thinking about outside of just us talking Eagles, and I'm like, sometimes I'm just gonna throw those conversations in there because I think it's good to have, and I think it's good to hear other people's opinion as a guy, because we know that it's very easy to get distracted by the beautiful, I'm always in love with a random athlete every year, but the reality of the situation is I have dated everything but that. So in the past. So I think the reality is that when Charleston White was talking this way, I think he's basing it on his experience. What
What he
he's
thinks is what he
right.
thinks is that's his opinion, but
And you have to
I think it's a
consider
I think
age
it's a little
too.
I think it's a little flawed, but that's
It's very flawed, but that's probably what all he knows. Like I just told you before we started talking, I was like, my dad, your mother's generation, they all kind of had different standards for what they consider a mate, you know,
hmm
and then what they think they base it on based on. And like you said, you just brought up football wise and all those shows. When that started, I think that's when people started to be fascinated with why are these people really together? Because now you see those
yeah.
girls that are superficial out there. And then you
hmm
wonder are they really just marrying IG models? Because, it's the look of a professional athlete. Because this generation now are kind of so predictable because they live through social media. So you
Oh
don't
yeah.
really know. You know what I mean? Like you don't really know if that's why Derrick Rose really got married to this girl or not. Um, at the end of the day, is it none of our business? No, it's not. But I just thought it would be a fun topic. But
Yeah.
I say Charleston White when I tweeted him, I retweeted. I just said, yeah, it's always our fault because we're aggressive black women versus white women. You have to realize that white women aren't exactly all that demure and submissive either. Um, if
No.
anything, we've realized that black women, white women are crazy on so many levels. It has nothing to do with their race
But
because if you're a
yeah,
crazy chick, you're a crazy chick, and it'll come out
just
regardless of
crazy.
what
I
color
was
you
say
are.
crazy and crazy, right?
Crazy as crazy does. So money makes everybody nutty. Let's put it that way. So
hmm
if you know before you made that money, they still rock with you. They should still rock with you when you don't have that money anymore. So,
Yes, that is the key right
and with that, I will end it and say definitely go check out that Kelsey doc once again because you will see
there.
what a down ass chick Kylie Kelsey is. Why Jason is such a happy go lucky guy because she holds him down like literally holds him
Yeah.
down. And them kids are so adorable. It's not even
Oh
funny.
God, yeah, they are.
So, but yes, go
Yeah.
watch it. But yes, go Birds. Like I said, we got a nice little break from this drama. Look, every week is not going to be sexy. We know that they're not going to really probably blend until just before the bye. If we want to be
hmm
real, I think this first Cowboy matchup might be interesting because if they lose, I won't be shocked. But I do not expect them
I think
to.
I think we'll split with them this year.
We're gonna split with them.
It's gonna
In my
happen.
in my
Yeah.
perfect world, I would want them to sweep them. I would always want them to sweep the Cowboys like they did the Giants, but I know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Dak got a chip on his shoulder as big as his head, so I don't think he's gonna allow. He's really not gonna allow them
That's
Eagles
true.
to wipe his
Heard.
ass twice. So, all right.
Yeah.
So definitely, we'll talk next. Birds of a Feather, co-ed edition. AB, thank you for joining me again last minute. Wasn't planned. I be trying to make these things scheduled, but it just don't work out that way. I be doing it when
All
I feel like
good.
talking. But thanks
Pleasure
for
as
joining
always.
if you were listening. And yes, so here's to the next game versus the Buccaneers. Chill out, enjoy the rest of the weekend, drama free.
Hopefully be
Go
3-0
Birds.
after that. So.
3-0. Let's just put it out there right
Yeah.
now. We ain't scared of no Baker. All right, guys.
Hmm.
Thanks for watching Birds of a Feather, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Later. Later.